For more on what's next in the battle over abortion rights, let's bring in senior Washington reporter Devin Dwyer, who covers the courts. Devin, thanks. Let's start with the legal battle, where it goes from here. And for advocates of abortion rights, when do they think they might be able, if ever, to restore abortion access in Texas?
Well, Phil, remember, the federal case against SB 8 is still active in the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals. So the Supreme Court's 5-4 decision last night refusing to block the law didn't address any of the fundamental substantive questions. So those are still live. And most legal experts I spoke with today said sooner or later a judge will hear those questions on whether the law is constitutional or not and restore abortion access in Texas. The big question is, what is the vehicle for that case and how quickly will it happen? And the short answer, Phil, is that it's not going to happen very quickly. In fact, Mary Ziegler, one of the leading abortion law experts in this country, told me tonight that she thinks it will be months at a minimum before any court gets to the point of possibly restoring abortion rights in Texas. And the most likely next phase in this battle will probably be someone in the state of Texas bringing a civil suit against an abortion provider accused of aiding or abetting an unlawful abortion. So we'll be on the lookout for that, and that will then create a live dispute between one Texas resident and another part of an abortion process that will then go into court, and that could be the vehicle for finally getting some sort of action on the substance of the law, which, again, consensus is on both sides that it doesn't pass muster with Roe versus Wade, Phil.
As you point out, though, it could take months to sort this all out, so it's very real for folks in Texas, providers, especially women. One of the striking things about this law, Devin, is that it relies on ordinary citizens to enforce it. I think that's new to a lot of people. Have we seen any kind of laws like this before? And if this one is successful, do we expect to see more of them?
Yeah, pitting neighbor against neighbor, family member against family member, very unusual. And in fact, Phil, in the words of Chief Justice John Roberts himself, he said it's not only unusual, it's unprecedented in this country when it comes to abortion rights. We don't see states enact laws that they then decline to enforce and instead ask the people to do the enforcing. So this is very unusual, and you're right to sort of scratch your head if you haven't been following it this closely up to this point. That said, what Texas has done here has been successful. This is what they wanted to do, design a law that would circumvent Supreme Court precedent. It has done that. And tonight, Phil, at least 3 other states, Republican legislatures in South Dakota, Florida, and Arkansas have all said they plan to introduce legislation in the coming days that are carbon copies of SB 8, so we could start to see a sort of arms race of sorts for passing these sorts of laws in other places.
Yeah, and I think folks in legislatures in areas where you're talking about said this was going to happen. They totally pointed in this direction. So everyone is now wondering what this means for the future of Roe v. Wade. You've been talking to legal experts all day. What's the sense that the court's inaction in this Texas case, does it mean that Roe is necessarily dead?
Well, functionally, in the state of Texas, Roe versus Wade is dead. Remember, Roe enshrined the constitutional protected right of a woman to receive abortion services in this country, certainly before the viability of a fetus. That's not happening in Texas, so it is dead there. But big picture, legally, if you look at sort of the scholarship of the law, if you will, it is not dead. Roe versus Wade, Planned Parenthood versus Casey, those precedents remain on the books. They remain in force. And in fact, there's universal consensus, even from scholars on the right, Phil, that if this law and others like it actually get before a court on the merits, they will be struck down. So there's perhaps a glimmer of hope if you're someone who's in support of abortion right. But the lack of urgency from the court's 5 conservative justices last night, lack of acknowledgement in that decision that came out around midnight of any of the impacts that this move will have on real women in the state of Texas is deeply concerning to so many advocates, and perhaps an ominous sign for how they will treat abortion rights in a case they're already expected to look at on their docket just later this year out of Mississippi, one that does directly re-examine that precedent in Roe versus Wade. Phil?
Devin Dwyer, thanks so much.
Thanks, Phil.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.